Hi everyone, welcome back to the Open Minded podcast. Today we have with us Anthony Wiltshire. He shares his story of mental health struggles and an attempt on his own life. We think this is a really important conversation, especially young men who don't tend to talk about their problems and end up in situations similar to Ant. We hope that you find some value from this podcast today, and if you do, please share it with your friends, like, comment and subscribe. Hope you enjoy it.
Cool. Thanks for coming on, Anne.
No worries, mate.
It's been a long time coming. It's been a while. Like, I think you messaged me a little while ago, and you were like, "Oh, I've got a cool story or whatever." And I've known you for a while, and I never heard like really anything about it. So, you had a bad experience with. I'm getting a bit nervous kind of talking about it because it brings up like emotions in me. But you had like a suicide. What's the best way of?
Well, I did attempt to take my own life, and then stop myself doing it, which obviously I'm so glad I did. Yeah. But I did attempt to take my own life. That's the way I look at it.
It's such an awkward fucking way to I don't know how to hit it right, but it touched me. So, because you had your granddad and everything, and I had my nan, and I lost my nan, and I went through a terrible time with that. So but I think this is like a big thing for like men out there to come out and speak about their problems because people need to speak up.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So let's just start from the beginning. Let's do this. What happened first then? Let's just get like a brief overview of like your childhood or whatever.
So my childhood was quite normal, to be fair. My mum and my dad brought me up here in Southampton. Got 3 sisters, all like practically really close. And went through primary school, pretty cushy. My dad worked nights, so that was like the difficult side of it. So mum works at General Hospital. She was a sister, so she was busy, like going to work, coming home stressed. Didn't really bring work home with her. And then like my dad working nights was like a massive thing. Like he was like quite tired. Like it was like a chore taking us to school in the morning, which I completely get. I work night shifts now, and the pain of like 8 o'clock in the morning is awful. But yeah, practically my whole childhood is amazing. Like Christmas, birthdays, just like all family events. Like we have like massive family, but we're all so close. Like me and my sisters, my cousins, like just one big, massive, amazing family in all my eyes. And then I'd say...
How many sisters do you have again?
3 sisters.
3 sisters. And how old, where are you in there?
So got one older sister, just a year above me, and then one sister, year below me, and then my little sister. So.
And they're all with the same parent?
Yeah, all with the same parents. Yeah.
So when did your, so you told me that your dad left you at, what were you?
Year 6.
Year 6.
Yeah, so it was like quite sudden, like didn't really notice too much going on. Like mum and dad didn't really speak too much at home anyway because of their jobs, like coming home and then he'd go to work or he'd go to sleep. So I never really noticed much differently. And then come home from school and then just found a letter on my bed from my dad and a teddy bear. My sisters had the exactly same thing. And then even to this day now, can't really remember the letter as such. It was just like,
when you were young.
Yeah, when I try and think about like what it said on it, and I just literally have no memory of reading it whatsoever.
Do you think you was in shock like when you was reading it?
Yeah, it was that massive shock. Like even I was in year 6, coming home, and then your dad's just said, "I'm not going to be around. Like I'll come back around when things are fine between me and your mum." And then that was like a massive impact on me, like because. Always went out, play football with my dad, like go down the skate park in Shelley Warren. Like,
so you had a good relationship with your dad before?
Yeah. Football like most evening, just chilling, watching TV. Like, and it was quite a good relationship, I'd say. And then just to come home to nothing, like it was quite mad, like experience. Scary. Even at a young age, yeah. And I'm thinking like we've got 3 sisters that are without their dad, and then I'm like the only boy in the house. Even at year 6, you start thinking like you got to start looking after your sisters, like be there for them, put like your feelings aside. Like even at that age, like just to think like, oh no, I need to be there to support my little sisters. And then my older sister, she was quite like like shut her feelings out, but then that's probably her trying to take over looking after me. Like, so
Sorry, what was that?
she like shut her feelings out.
Shut her
Yeah,
feelings out.
so she started like just trying to be there for all of us, whereas I was probably trying to do the same thing as well. And then my nana and my papa, like I remember they came over that evening. I had like a picture of me and my dad like printed out, and then like my nana and papa like, I put that picture away. Like, your mum don't want to be seeing that. And I was like, yeah, but I'm upset. Like, I want to be upset that my dad's not here. Then they were like, no, like, you don't need that picture anymore. Like, you need to like be here for your mum. Like, we're having dinner together. So that was like an upsetting time, because I was like, I just want to like see my dad. Even like a picture, I was
God,
like,
that's sad.
yeah. So, but looking back on it now, my nana and my papa are just angry. Like, obviously my mum's by herself now, and then you got to think like, now you're in an adult life now, like, would have I handled things differently if that was my nana and papa? Maybe, but like,
Everyone's human.
You got to respect it now.
Everyone's human. Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah. So yeah, even then through secondary school, I'd say didn't really have a relationship with my dad. Like, we moved.
What about your sisters?
My sisters, yeah,
Still the same.
still the same with me. Like, still also close. They didn't really have a relationship with him either. We moved to Lord's Hill. My dad was literally living 2 roads along, like in a shared house. But we just didn't really have like any connection with him. Like, if we see him, like, it'd be like a hello, and then that would be it. Like, they were like,
just
How regularly did you see your dad when after he left?
Not much through secondary school. None.
Till year 11.
Yeah, I'd say it took till year 11 to try to build like a relationship back up again. Like, little bits, like, because he lived in the area, we like kind of bumped into each other, and then like he'd text us. Like, if he was around and about, we'd see him, but we wouldn't plan to like go for dinner, go like, or even just go out and do something. It was just literally kind of shut off.
That's a mad situation. How you can just go from like your dad being like doing loads of stuff with you to just literally nothing.
Yeah.
So what did he get a new relationship or whatever?
Yeah, so he's now married to Lorraine. I have quite a good relationship with Lorraine now. So got a stepbrother now, so he is in year 7. So that was like quite a mad experience as well. Like, he's starting a new family. Like, are we going to be a part of this family? I was obviously angry. I don't know the ins and outs of him and his partner, like, even still to this day. And I kind of don't want to, like, because he's in a happy relationship now. He's married. Like, we went to their wedding, like, last year. So it was like, I didn't want to know too much about it, in all honesty. Like, I didn't really want to go around and like have dinner like as one family. But this last year's been a lot better. Like, my dad's noticed like I don't really know what's happened, but we just try to build like a better relationship, go out, do things up with my stepbrother. So he's at an age now where I want to be part of his life. Like, if he's in year 7, like, I want to be like watching him go through school, like be there, like if he needs anything. Like, he has an older brother himself anyway, so, but
yeah, it's nice for him.
It's nice for him to like see us all.
So what did your dad, he came back into your life at what, year 11?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And how was things then?
Bit tense, bit awkward. Like, we started like going like play pool or snooker, and that's like being a thing that we try and continue to do now. But it was like just a bit awkward. Like, we didn't really have too much to talk about, and it was like, oh yeah, let's just talk about football, because that was like the topic that we both loved. So, but it was just, I never really had like clarification of what happened, like what, and I never asked. So it was like, now I'm getting to like an age where my mind's starting to ask questions myself, like, why are you not angry? Why are you not mad? Like, why you just want to like go back to normal and kind of forgive him in a way? And it was like, right, do I need to start asking these questions? And then I remember my 18th birthday, waking up in the morning to a Facebook post, and then it's the first time he said sorry to me, and it was like a massive relief. Like, just literally, he's not one for like talking too much anyway, but it's like Facebook post, it just said like, sorry I wasn't there for you as a man, sorry I didn't teach you to do your first shave, sorry I wasn't there to support you, like, you were a man of the house, like, you took over, and like I do apologize for that. And I remember like reading it, and I was like, okay, like I can accept it. Like,
and at this point, you'd been going out with him.
yeah,
or
been
whatever
going out with him, like going down a pub,
and
watching some sort of football or whatever.
And he saw what kind of man you become, and all of a sudden he's like,
yeah. Maybe he was proud in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. He was proud of the man that you become, and he kind of wished that he had some sort of part to play in that.
Yeah, practically. And then because my papa brought me up, well, for clarification, like my papa, I say, is my granddad, but because he's from Scotland, we say papa and nana, so that's the reason. But my papa brought me up as like, that's the man I am today. It's because of him.
Yeah,
like,
that's beautiful. So when they broke up, that he just like jumped in.
Yeah, just took over. Like,
where did he live?
Literally lived in Lord Hill. We lived in Shirley Warren at the time.
So how far away is that?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, well, 20 minutes walk. But my papa drove, so only like 2 minutes down the road. So he was like coming around more, like in the evenings, cooking us dinner. Like if I had rugby or football after school, he'd come pick me up. We went to church every weekend together, like all through secondary school, primary school. Now I don't go anymore because it was something I fell out of love with. But it was like a nice thing to do with him, like, and it made him happy. So that's he just done everything. We're always around his house. Then when we moved to Lord Hill to be closer to him, I was around there 4-5 nights a week, easy, just to my nana's frustration, watching every game that was on, like Monday, Champions League football, Tuesday, like the whole weekend we're just constantly chilling with each other. And even if there's nothing on TV, just going around, spending time with him, just
have a cup of tea.
Yeah, just love this company. It's like just unbelievable.
I love that. Grandparents are so beautiful.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah. So how was your family around the conversation of your dad?
I'd say there just wasn't a lot of conversation. I started building a relationship before my sisters did, I'd say. And that's maybe because my dad reached out to me. I was reaching out to him a bit more. And then my sisters just kind of, like my little sister, she was upset, but she wouldn't like express to him that she was frustrated. And then this sister just below me, she's just like her own person anyway. Like she's so switched on. She's now got like a degree. She's amazing job. Like, so she was like, I can do it by myself. So she never really wanted to like kind of tell him how she was feeling. And then my older sister, kind of the same. There was just nothing, in all honesty. Like no like, not like anger or anything. They just didn't really want to show any interest in it. They're just upset. And then they started building a relationship now. Like my dad spends a lot of time with my sisters. Like my little sister's got 2 children now, and he's like a massive part of their life. Like my sister takes him around, spends time with him. Mary goes out with him quite a lot for like dinner, cinema, etc. My older sister lives in London, so every time she's down now, they do make time with each other. So I'd say that kind of started just after me. I'd say probably when I was 19, 20, they started like building a good relationship again. So I'd say like throughout this past like 7 kind of years, I've noticed like a massive difference. Even like the last 2 years, like don't know whether it's that COVID, like people start to like realize more or anything like could have been that, but they're just starting to like want to spend more time with him, and like they're both making a continuous effort, which is nice to see.
Yeah, that's good. And what about your granddad? Did he have a good relationship with your sisters as well? Was it more you?
Nah, like he was there. We went to church as a family every Sunday or Saturday night. So all my sisters would come, my mum would be there and he'd be there. So not so much like going around like watching football, like, but even my sisters are massive Celtic fans, so we all went round kind of on the weekend, spent a bit of time with each other. But he was there for them as well, like massively, and my nana as well. Like, yeah, so I'd say he just had an amazing relationship with all of them, and his nieces and nephews, my cousins. Like, he was just a massive factor in everyone's lives, not just mine.
That's amazing. I love that. It's just same as my nan and my grandma, and there's just so amazing, like bringing people together and just being there for everyone.
Yeah,
it's like because my grandma was always there for me and my nan. They'd always look after me and stuff, and I ended up living with my nan and things like that. So, But yeah, is there any questions that you want to ask before we get into that?
Not right now. I've got a few things I'm thinking about there.
Okay. So should we jump into that now?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right. So what happened? Where were you when you found out?
So I always beat myself up on this a bit. Like I planned to go to Scotland with my sister. I remember spending some time with my papa a couple of weeks before I went to Scotland. I remember saying to him like, "Oh, I'll come around and see you before I go." And then life got busy. Like had a new partner, so was like living with Jess at the time, and then didn't go down and see my papa. And I was like, thought like, should I call him? Like say like, "Right, see you want to get back from Scotland," and I didn't. Went to Scotland, got a text message of my cousins, and they were like, "Papa's been taken to hospital, but don't stress about it. You're in Scotland, you can't do nothing about it. Like, enjoy your time. You'll see him when you get back." And I was like, didn't really think too much of it because I got that text like, "It will be okay. Like, don't worry too much." And then me and my sisters just had a night out. We go to see a Celtic band every like Easter weekend. So we went out, done that. Then woke up in the morning, and then my mum called me and my sister and was like, "You need to get the first flight home from Scotland. Like, you need to come home." So it was like just a massive shock. And I was like, that's when I knew something was wrong. Like, my mum's like, "You need to come home." Then I remember calling Jess and was like, "Can someone pick me up from the airport? Like, I'm coming home from Scotland today." And then mum was like, "No, like a family member needs to be doing it. Don't worry about getting anyone else. Come and get you." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus, like, this got to be bad." And I remember going up to the general hospital, and then like all my family were there. Like there only had like a tiny room, but it was like good of them to like let everyone stay up there. Like all my cousins were there. And then I remember my mum saying like, "You need to come in, see your papa. Like nothing's gonna be like make you ready for like what you're gonna walk into." And I was like, "I'll be okay. Like just let me in, please." I remember like going in, there was just tubes hanging out of him, like whole face looked completely different. And I remember like I was like, it literally did not look like him at all. And I just turned around, ran out, and just went downstairs. I quit smoking during that period of time, and all I wanted was a cigarette. So I started smoking. I was like, I just need something to get rid of like this shock and pain. Like I've seen him like that, and that was like the first time I saw him, and that was like just after Good Friday. So he went into hospital on Good Friday. I went up on a Saturday, and then that was my first experience of like walking in to the hospital and not being able to recognise the man that brought me up.
And had you ever lost anyone before? Was that the first time?
That first time, like a family member, like I've lost a friend due to like drugs growing up. That was like really tough time, but I've never experienced like
someone as close as that.
Any pain from like a family member. Like everyone, and my papa was so healthy. Like he'd get up.
Such a shock as well. Just I couldn't imagine just one message, boom, and then they're gone. You don't even get that chance to sort of like. There's like no time.
Yeah.
And you didn't really get to speak to him at all, really. I suppose.
They said that he could hear us when he was like on the machines, and I remember like saying to him like he had family coming down from Scotland, but they couldn't fly. They just due to that medical, and like they just didn't like flying whatsoever. So they were driving down. I just remember saying to him like, "Please stay like just till your family are down from Scotland. Like your family want to see you." And I remember like everyone like saying to him, "Just talk to him normally. Talk to him about your weekend. Like you just been to Scotland. Like just sit and have a chat with him." But I just couldn't. Like I just like holding his hand, and it was just literally like cold. Like just no feeling to it. And I remember I'd always go in and out of like the room. Like we were doing like 10, 20 minutes each because we have quite a lot of cousins. People had stuff they wanted to say to each other. So like. And they wanted to speak to him about things, maybe even they said he could hear, so stuff that maybe we didn't want to tell him about, like that we'd done growing up or anything like that. Like maybe that was a stage where people liked doing it, but I just couldn't talk to him. Like it was just too painful.
I think there's a thing with that. I'm not too sure whether they can hear you or not. It's just a nice thing to think that they can. I think that deep down you kind of knew that when you were there with him. And the thing for me, which I got from my experience was everything. You kind of do you feel a lot more spiritual now? Have you? I know that it is an on topic, but with me, I felt like a closer connection to my nan after she passed away, which was very fucking strange to me because it was like, what's going on here? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And I kind of like started meditating and things like that, and sort of got these different things out of my head, and I started realizing like this isn't just this. We're not just. It's not just this world. Do you know what I mean? There's something else other than.
Sorry.
That's all right. There's something else going on here which we can't explain. Do you feel anything like that, or?
I didn't. In all honesty, I didn't. I kind of fell out of religion, if anything, because my papa was like went to church every single weekend, never missed it without failure. Cleaned in the church, went to church Wednesdays, Thursdays if he could, like, and I was like, and then you're just gonna take my papa's life.
It's exactly the same. My grandma, she went to church every Sunday without fail. She worked in the hospital. She saved children's lives. It's like,
it's a really confusing contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
That such a good person dies and you've been told this whole time what you get told in church. And especially, I had the same thing with my mum when I was younger. It's very confusing to try and consolidate that a good person has been taken away, you know, when they're such an amazing person. Like, they do all this amazing stuff and, like, they die suddenly at a young age, for example.
Yeah, and it was, like, pretty mad that he went into hospital on Good Friday and then passed away on Easter Sunday. And it's like that was the bit that kind of brought me back into religion thing. Like, okay, like, there's something there, like that's mad, like, within itself.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, like, after his funeral, I can probably count on one hand how many times I've been in church, and I was just I don't want to go anymore. And maybe there's something of, like, maybe might fall back in love with at a later stage. Like, my sister still goes. My sister goes most weekends in London, and they've all, like, kind of continued. But it's just something that I just completely fell in love. I was like, how can my papa do everything for this God, go to church, and then that's it.
Literally,
and I just don't understand
so what
it.
happened to him? What was so sudden?
Literally just had, like, a sore stomach, like, couldn't go off the toilet, and then started noticing, like, a little things, like, literally within one day, just kind of become, like, ill. There was nothing, like, too majorly wrong with him, and then he went to hospital, and that's, like, the first time he's been, well, yeah, first or second time, like, physically, like, in a hospital bed. Like, they were like, oh, we need to keep you in to, like, do checks. And then literally within, like, that day, everything's just started, like, shutting down, like, his lungs. They said there was, like, some form of cancer, but they didn't know what, because obviously it's too late to, like, check everything. And, like, but we didn't know. And this could be, like, the fact cancer could have just, like, formed quite recently. So he was never in pain, like, never... Like, nothing was ever going on, but his body literally just shut down in a way. There was no, like, major thing that caused it to happen.
I kind of thought about that. It's like, what is better? Because that seems kind of painless, and there's not a lot of time there. Where my nan, she had 3 years, but over those 3 years, it was just pure pain and agony for everyone around you. And over that time, it's like, and then it sounds absolutely terrible, but I think this is something that a lot of other people can relate to, have been through family members going through cancer. When they actually die, it's a little bit of a relief.
Yeah.
It sounds fucked to say it, but it is a little bit, because it's like they're out of their misery now, they're out of their pain, and you see them go through this terrible, terrible experience, and it pains you, because, like you said, these people, just like my nan, she was very religious as well. She's just a beautiful, beautiful human being, and, like, how can, if we were saying God put that person through those things? So it's kind of, but it's also about changing the way that you think about it. It's like God needs his angels. You know what I mean? But yeah, so what happened just after he passed away then?
Yeah, so throughout the whole, like, weekend, he was in the hospital. All my family were up there, like, 48 hours straight, no sleep. Jess like come up, say goodbye to him. So that was obviously nice. There was like little things that I was thinking like, right, I need to get this done because we're not going to see him again. So I was like asking Jess if she wanted to come up. And then my dad got a text message like after my sister's like Papa's in hospital, and then that was a bit of like an awkward situation because all my sisters wanted was to see my dad, like just to give him a cuddle, like just maybe like just get rid of some pain, like, and just vent to someone that's not sat in a room with us crying, like, and stressing, like just maybe an outsider of it. And then
do you think it kind of made them realize how short life is? And
yeah, and my dad come up, spent like the whole of the last all this Sunday kind of just downstairs in the hospital reception. Like I said, like just text us like I'm downstairs if you need me at any stage. I'm not going anywhere. Like I'll be here for you lot. Then I remember my mum saying like he can come up if he wants, and he said like I'm not going to. Like maybe he felt like he didn't deserve to come up. Like maybe didn't think like I want to be around like everyone else up there for Papa. Maybe it's a pride thing. But fair play to him. He's there all, like most of the weekend, bringing like drinks, food up, like, and more than anything, just to give my sisters a cuddle, just to give me a cuddle.
Support,
yeah,
bless him. Yeah.
And he was there throughout that like tough stage, and take my hat off to him. Like that must have been so hard to watch, like just like your daughters cry, like me break down, and he was there big time, and that's like thing that probably touched my heart a bit, and was like he does care, he does love all of us, like, and he is here to support us. So
probably not just that, but how much respect he has for your granddad as well.
Yeah, 100%. And like little things, like he was then there for like bits of the funeral, like we're all around my nana's house, which is obviously quite close to him in Lord's Hill. So he was like there for us, like coming in, checking on everyone in the family. And before, like my nana, probably, well, I don't remember him being in my papa's house, but he like stay out the front, and then everyone go out to him and like chat to him. So it was like everyone become like more relaxed and like just seemed a bit more loving towards everyone. And that's probably because, like you said, life's too short. Like things are gonna happen that can't be stopped, and it can be sudden. So I think that was a good thing to come out of it, if that makes sense. And then I'd say really tough time, like the week, like, and it's for a Catholic funeral, it's like quite quick turnaround. But they hope to anyway, just due to like obviously churches, and he wanted to be done in Holy Family Church. So I think it was like just over a week, and then the funeral was here. So we've done everything.
How are you feeling through this time?
Shocked, in all honesty. Couldn't really be upset. I just wanted to be there to support everyone else. I didn't really think about my thoughts too much. I remember like even like the night of going home when we found out everything, I was just so drained, like being up for like 48 hours, and I thought, I'm not going to sleep, like so much stuff on my mind. But I remember like thinking like I need to go sleep because I need to get up in the morning, be there for my nana, be there for my mum, be there for my sisters. And I remember Jess come and stayed round, like where we practically packed a suitcase from her house and was like, we're going to spend loads of time at yours, so we better go down to your mum's house. And then just that whole time, really, Jess was trying to be there to support me and like ask me like, are you okay? Like, can I help? Can I help you? And I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'll be okay.
Who's
like,
Jess again, just to clarify?
My partner, my fiance now. So yeah, she was there literally non-stop trying to just ask questions, and I just didn't want to answer any questions to anyone, let alone someone so close to me. Then the week leading up to a funeral is pretty weird. It's like Catholic funeral, so they bring a coffin into the house.
Is it open?
Nah, it's like closed over, but it's there for, they say 24 hours before it goes into, 24 hours in the house, then 24 hours in the church. So that was like really overwhelming, that thing of like, my papa's in his house, but he's not here. Like, and my nana didn't want to leave him alone, so everyone done like sessions in the house, even through the night, like just sitting in there, like music was playing, and I did find it quite nice in a way, like just like having music on, like sitting, just like chatting to him, and then I felt like that's more of a stage where I was able to talk to him than when he's in hospital. So I was like just talking to him about random stuff, like what happened in Scotland, which I didn't want to talk to him about in the hospital. And it was like just thanking him for everything he's done for me and saying prayers, like, and it was quite a nice feeling. But also in the back of my mind, I was just really worried about everyone else, and just, no, honestly, didn't think about my own feelings whatsoever. Just beat myself up there. Everyone was upset. And just being like, I felt like helpless. Like throughout my whole life, I've been quite like a supportive person, like kind of put people before me. And that's maybe because my papa, like my family, like my upbringing, that I want to be there for everyone else and everyone else before you. And
you're a man.
Yeah, practically.
You got brought up well.
And then, yeah, just that whole kind of like week was the toughest week. Then I got to the funeral. It was obviously an emotional day, sad day, but in all honesty, it was a really nice day. Like the whole family was around. Like everyone was down from Scotland. Everyone was like just talking about stories and stuff like that. Like, and I didn't feel too upset the day of the funeral but I don't know if that's because, do you know when you go to a funeral, it's like you think it's gonna be like so bad, so you work yourself up to like this worst thing, and then when you've got everyone there, it's like
beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it's like you were like supporting other people, they were supporting you. So it was like it sounds so strange, but it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be.
It went as well as it could have.
Yeah, in a way. And then, yeah, after the funeral, for weeks, I just couldn't go to work.
Did you try to go back? Or?
Yeah, tried to go back to work. I worked at General Hospital at the time, at a nursery.
And your granddad worked there as well, didn't he?
No, my mum worked there.
Oh, your mum worked
there.
there.
Yeah. And then I remember just every time I went past the hospital, I remember like just seeing my papa, and then I started getting flashbacks. And this was like a decline in my mental health in a way. It was like the start of it.
Did you ever have mental health problems before this
No,
moment?
no,
Never suffered with anything.
nothing really. Like even, well, I say nothing really. No, like
No.
Quite.
Just
like
a happy go.
Yeah. Just was quite chill person, quite relaxed. Then I started getting these like flashbacks of like seeing my papa in a hospital bed, like walking past the hospital. Started trying to take a different route to work, so I didn't have to, because where the building was, I'd walk past the entrance so you could see like the window where my papa was, and then I was like trying to avoid walking past there, try like doing everything I could to get back to work. And I never like been a person to like not want to go, like obviously no one gets up in the morning like, wee, let's go to work.
Well, some people do.
Well, I'd love to be there. But it was like I just started getting these flashbacks, and I was like, what is going on? Like I was just trying to like get them to my brain, like I'm okay, like stop thinking about it, like just get on with your day. And then it just like kind of like rapidly become like more of a thing. And it was never like a nice flashback. Like I would have liked like a nice flashback, like me and my papa sat watching the TV, or me and him like going out for a walk or at church or whatever. But it was literally like a flashback of him in a hospital bed, and it was just reoccurring like constantly.
Do you think that you handled that situation like in the best way? Not the fact that you change it, but for anyone else who's going through that sort of thing right now, do you think that is there anything that you could have done in that moment to maybe change the
Reached
situation?
out to someone and told them straight away. 100%. It's like a massive regret that I didn't tell anyone I was getting these flashbacks. I was like,
you just held it all in.
Yeah, held it all in. Obviously, like work kind of knew a bit, and like whereas the NHS, they were really supportive. So knowing how supportive they were, I could have like reached out and told you don't need to tell your family members, you don't need
Just
to tell
someone.
anyone. And that's like my massive regret, is that I didn't reach out. So then it started like coming home with me, then I started not being able to sleep, and then the flashbacks got worse, and then ended up started like harming myself, like punching myself like literally as hard as I could to just stop like if I punched myself, the flashback stopped. And then I just started like I was never angry at anyone else. It was just a form of it stopping. So I literally used to hit myself in my eyes like as hard as I could. I remember coming home and like Jess would be like, "Oh, you look tired today," and it's not, it's bruising from where I've been hitting myself, and it's like, "Oh, like, I'm just tired." Like started like saying to people like, I'm gonna go to work today, like to make them proud. So I was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go, and then I didn't go to work, and then I used to just like stroll around, and then like go down to my nana's for a bit, and then go home after, and they'd be like, "How was your day?" I'd be like, "Yeah, it was good," and just started like just pretending life was normal, pretending that I was okay, and I wasn't. Like I needed support, but I just didn't reach out to anyone.
So with this situation, right? What do you think was the root of that pain? Was it that you've lost someone that you love, or that like, I don't know how to word it exactly, but I didn't have that same experience with my grandparents. I wouldn't say I was very close to any of my grandparents. So when my nan died, it was just like another day. Like I didn't have this big family thing of, didn't even know she was ill, didn't go to her funeral. I literally like didn't know, like it was like the complete other end of the spectrum of the relationship you had with your granddad. Like didn't really know her that well. When she was ill, I didn't know. She died, didn't go to her funeral, and I've never spoken to anyone in my family about it since. Like, I've got the complete other end of that spectrum in terms of experience. So, I don't even think about my nan, to be honest. Like, I only really met her a few times. So, like, where he was such a big, regular part of your life, like, which element of it do you think was the root of why you felt that way? Was it because it was such a tear in the family structure, or was it that he wasn't going to be around for the support that he usually gave? Like, which element of that do you think was like the root of how you felt so like negatively?
Personally, I believe that he is my dad growing up, and he's my best mate, and that was the bit I knew I missed the most. It's just like, it's not even like the structure of the family has changed massively. Like everyone went to Nana's and Papa's house, but even when my Nana was sick, everyone went to like kind of go and see Papa. Like he was just like the most joyful person, and no, my Nana is amazing. I love her to bits, but he was like the root and was like
he's like the glue.
Yeah. So from my thing, I'd say I lost my best mate more than anything, and I missed his company. I missed like just spending time with him, and it wasn't such. I was telling Johnny, like, it was. I never told him things outside like my personal relationships, like if I went out drinking, like, and didn't have that like jokey relationship with him. But
it was a pure relationship.
Yeah.
That's how I like to think of it, because I wouldn't speak about anything like that with my grandparents either. It was like a pure relationship.
Yeah. And that is the thing. I reckon I just gonna miss my best mate, and I think that was like the turning factor. That like kind of not by myself. Like I've got everyone around me, but the biggest person is now gone, and I think that was like I'd say the biggest factor of it all.
So, how long were you self-harming for?
Weeks.
What sort of things would you come up with to say?
I don't. In a way, I used to like punch myself in my head or like my eyes, so it was never like visual, and I wasn't even doing it to like get other. Maybe I was at the time. I didn't think maybe I was doing it to get other people to notice. But even when someone like noticed, I'd be like, "Oh, like it's fine. Like I'm just tired." Like, I never like no one ever fully recognised what I was going through. And I was living at Jess's, my partner's. So then my mum didn't see me as much because I think that my mum would have picked up on like some of my behaviours that were like going on. Obviously, just picked up on a lot, but kind of when your partner says like I'm okay, 9 times out of 10 you listen to them and you're like, okay, fair enough. Like I'll stop asking questions. Whereas
obviously you just gone through a terrible experience, and she probably doesn't want to I don't know,
dig in.
like,
Dig in,
nag,
yeah.
And then, but I think like I avoided like going to see my mum, and she was worried. Started like questioning when I was coming down, like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on? You're not talking to anyone." No,
So
I
you
was just,
distance yourself a bit from your family.
yeah, just because I knew deep down in my head they pick up on stuff,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to put that burden on them. Like they're already experiencing pain as well, so I was like, I don't want to be the stress of like everyone else is, like everyone's going through the exactly same thing that I'm going through, but I don't want to be there to be that.
Be that guy. Like,
yeah,
everyone come to me. I need the most attention or whatever.
yeah.
I completely get that.
And I've got like cousins as well, and like they will deal with things differently. Like cousin Joe, but very very rarely spoke about his emotions like at all. So I was like, it's not abnormal for a man not to do it. Like, and
What do you think? There's literally the most people who commit suicide are men.
yeah,
That's why.
and like all my cousins didn't really open up too much, and they're all boys. So I don't think anyone picked up on the fact that too much that right, they're proper struggling here, and it's not their job to do it. Like, because I hid it well. Like I know I hid it well. Like I was able to hide it from people on a daily basis, let alone like going home once every few days just to like say hello. Like it was my choice to start hiding these things I was doing.
The only general theme that I can kind of pick up on from what you said, right, is like when your dad left and you guys didn't really talk about it. Like it was probably not that normal for you to talk about things by like just based on that. It wasn't normal for you guys to come together and talk about things that much, maybe.
Yeah, fair. I reckon that's a fair point.
And when that's the case, like, what is the other option? Is to like fill yourself up with it. You've got no release.
Yeah.
So what happens is you burst. You do like bursts of anger and things like that. When you don't have that release valve, that because a conversation with families and around the dinner table, if you're with people all the time, like it's a general release. It's like
you're not the only one holding the burden.
Yeah, but like you're like gradually releasing stuff by having conversations and seeing people regularly. Right? But you didn't have that. It's kind of like your granddad was that person to do that with as well.
Yeah, saying that was quite normal for us not to.
Yeah.
Like chat about how I was feeling. So yeah, it's a fair point. Never thought of it either, to be fair.
That is good.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, so yeah, my sisters didn't really pick up on it. I didn't really talk to them about it either. And then it just started gradually just declining, getting worse. Just like not like the anger side of things. I just didn't want to. Like, I started thinking like, I'm a weirdo for punching myself. Like, what am I doing? Like, I knew it was wrong, and I was like, I just didn't want to feel this pain anymore. And then I started thinking about suicide, and then was like, I just don't want to live without my papa. Like, I'm struggling. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I just didn't know what to do. And then got to like a stage, me and Jess were going on holiday to Mexico, and I remember thinking in my head that right, I'll get to this holiday, and then after that I'll take my own life. And I was like, I have like one good last like experience away from everything else, like away from the stress. Like I'll be in a completely different country to everyone else. Like hopefully I can shut my mind down, be myself for like a week, like give that time to Jess to like a good memory. And that like literally just started like cementing in my head. I was like, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was like, I just don't want to live. I don't want to be in this pain. Like I just generally just had enough. I was like, I can't go to work. I can't like talk to anyone. Like I generally just really didn't want to be here. And then got to a stage where I started writing letters to family members. So Jess will go to sleep at night, get a pen and paper, like have an Xbox on in the background to look like I'm playing Xbox. and then just started writing letters to all my family. And maybe that's when like my brain started thinking like you don't want to do this, because you're now writing everything down of what you love about everyone. Like,
do you feel like that correlated to your dad writing you the letters?
Yeah, maybe. I didn't think of that in a way. I just thought of it like as I wanted to leave an explanation of why I did it. I don't want to just leave people questioning like you could have done more, like, and maybe it was like kind of to do with that. But in my head, I just thought of it as I owe people something to.
Because you'd never spoken about it or expressed it before, so that was like the only way that you could.
Yeah, the only way I could is just literally writing this letter to say like, this is how I'm feeling. I started like every letter the same. Like, I've gone through this pain of losing Papa. Like, I can't talk to anyone about it. Like, I can't talk to you about it. I don't want to put the pain on you. And that was like kind of like a brief paragraph I started writing. I wrote probably numerous letters like to my mum, my sisters, best mates, Jess, even her family, just like an explanation to them as well. I was living under their roof, and I was like, I've not even reached out to any of them either. So I owed them something to like read. Like, maybe obviously it wouldn't have been enough for people, but I felt like I wanted to leave something. And then
it's why it's just so important to talk, just try and get this across, that feeling like that, someone's pain that they're going through, or your pain that you feel like you're going through at this moment in time, someone else's pain who's you're friends with or your family with, that pain will be so much less of a burden to carry than the pain of you taking your life.
Yeah, 100%. And then I wrote practically every letter. So I was like, I'm going to get all of these done, then go to Mexico, then come home. So I remember going to Mexico, had like the time of my life that week. Like, it was unreal. Like, didn't drink too, like, well, we're all inclusive holiday. Like, I love going out and having a drink, having a laugh, but I was like, I noticed like I don't want to get too drunk, so I don't want to get upset. Like, I don't want to start then opening up like once I've completely like steaming, and then Jess was like, just like, this is unreal. Like, he's back to himself. Like, this holiday was everything we could have asked for. I just like kind of took like a Subway top with me that my papa gave me, took like a little memory of me, and was like wearing that about during the day. And yeah, had unreal week, like no stress, nothing. But in my head still I was thinking like, make this week perfect. And then
you try to leave her with like one last nice memory.
Yeah, practically. And was like, just make this week as good as it can be. And then I'm going home and taking my own life. And that didn't change. Like, anytime, wherever the holiday, like.
So had you already planned how you were going to go about it? Had you already?
No, I was researching it. Which is mad. I was like Googling things like easiest ways to take your own life, like less painful ways.
I think that's so I was at that point at one point, and it's like you want to do it in a way that doesn't hurt. You just want to wait. What you're basically saying is, I want this experience to stop.
Yeah.
What is the easiest way for me to make this stop? And like, I thought about a million different ways, and I just was like, I can't hurt myself.
Yeah.
And I was punching walls, I was punching myself, I was doing all that same shit. But I never actually got to a point where I tried anything. Yeah.
I was like researching, like Googling it and stuff, and then I remember like reading sentences, like people like comments below, like, you're a scumbag, you're killing other people by killing yourself, and like there's all these pages of like people mentioning like, don't do it, like rah rah. And I remember reading them, like just skinning past them, like as I take a glance at them and I'd be like, I don't even care, like like I don't care that you've experienced pain from losing someone. Like, I don't want to be here. So yeah, we had the holiday, come home.
Did Jess notice anything with you? Or?
On the way home, she did. When we got picked up by our stepdad, and she was like, "You're so quiet. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, we just had an amazing holiday. She started like doubting herself more than anything. Like, what have I done wrong? Like, have I upset you? Like, what's going on? And I was like, nothing. I'm just tired. Like, generally, like, I'm just knackered. Like, I just want to go chill, like, go to sleep when we get home and stuff. And she was like, okay. Like, I think she obviously noticed, but maybe then she was thinking, oh, he's going back to reality. Like, he's going back to normal life where he's been going through pain. But like, when we were away in Mexico, he was like his happier. So she didn't question it too much. She was just like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, and then started doubting herself. Like, am I doing enough for you? And I was like, you're doing fine. Like, don't worry about me. Like, I'm spot on. Like, rah, rah, rah. And then even like that whole day, like when we got home, it was just kind of tense, really, because obviously I had in my head what I wanted to do, and I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I just kind of want to get over and done with. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, and then
did you want to do it straight away as soon as you got back? Like,
nah.
That day, that week.
So I planned to like do it that week, just to like kind of get back to like come home and then like just get like back to normality. And there was like more of like a factor of like worrying about everyone else again still, and like in my own head I was thinking, oh, no, in my life, so why do I care about what day of the week it is? Like, but maybe it was in a way like my head like kind of stopping me, like, but then I had a plan. I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether it's tomorrow or today. Like, then went for a couple of days of being home from Mexico, and then started like just thinking like, right, like it's time now. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, just gonna try and end my own life, really. And then I remember waking up in the morning, just going to work, and then she just said goodbye as normal. And then she was like, what are you up and about for? And I was like, oh, nothing. Like, I'm gonna go to work. Like, I'm gonna try to go back today. No, I lied about that and was like, gonna go to work as well. Like, I'm gonna get up and go. Called work and said I won't be in. Like, as soon as Jess left, got out like all these letters for Jess. Went to the shop, bought some flowers. Lucy, Jess's sister, was in. Was like, oh, what are you doing? Nothing. Like, just gonna go to work, etc. It's like trying to just have the same story to everyone. And then went to Sainsbury's up in like Lawswood area, and then bought like 40 packs of cigarettes and a bottle of vodka, and was like, right, like something to kill the pain of like I was gonna take my own life. Was just like smoking, walking down Hill Lane, going towards the Itchen Bridge. And then I remember I was like punching stuff on my way down, like bus stops, like, and I was just so angry, like hitting myself. Like, didn't even drink a lot. Like, I remember buying a bottle of vodka, like, right, kill this pain, like just to try and take my mind off things. And I remember just like threw the bottle of drink and was just smoking like fag after fag after fag, like just to take my mind off what I was gonna do. Remember like walking past someone in the street, they're like, good morning. I was like, good morning. Like, just trying to pretend everything was normal still. And then I remember like texting people like, have a good day, like as I normally would. Like, I send a message to Jess every day, like with a paragraph, like thanking her for stuff she does. But I do that every day, like not just even to this day now. Like, it wasn't nothing now that I had normal. I was just trying to pretend everything was like, okay. And then went to the Itchen Bridge. I remember like waiting near the bottom of the Itchen Bridge in Southampton, and was like, I wanted to wait till there was no cars, wait till there was no people, because I didn't want the burden of like someone seeing someone taking their own life. And it was like early in the morning, so I was like, okay, like no one's there now, like let's take a...
What kind of time?
It was like 7:20ish. So it was like a busy time of day, as in like cars going to work and stuff, but I just saw like a
window.
Yeah, window, like maybe where you pay to go over the bridge or whatever. Like, there was like no cars and no people like walking across. So I remember just going to the middle of it and just sitting on the edge, and I just couldn't do it. There was just, I just wanted to jump, but I just physically couldn't do it. I just remember, and it's even at that stage that I wasn't like, I didn't want to take my own life for me. I was still like, you're going to kill everyone around you. Like, my cousins that I'm so close to, like Jess, like my mum, my dad, like everyone. I was like, you're literally gonna break their hearts, like because of like you don't want to be here anymore. You don't want to go through the pain of like trying to get help or anything. And then I just stepped off. Then remember like someone stopping by the bridge and chatting to me and was like, "Are you okay? Like, let me get you some help." And I was like,
Someone walking.
"Yeah, someone walking." And I was like, "No, I need to make a phone call." And I tried calling my sisters, but I knew they were at work anyway. But I was like, "Let's take it off the off chance that one of them pick up." No one picked up, so I was like, just literally like kind of froze. And then called Jess's sister, Lucy, and was like, "Luce, like, I just tried to take my own life." And I remember she was like just crying on the phone, like what, like, where are you? And I remember like saying like, I'm at the Itchen Bridge, and she was like, "Oh, we're gonna come get you. We're gonna come get you." And then I was like, "No, like, I walk home. Like, I just want to be by myself still, because I still just didn't want to be around anyone." I was just like, obviously, just in shock that I nearly did it. Like, and now I didn't. I'm gonna have to live up to like opening up and talking to people and explaining why I got to that stage, and then the pain that I've gone through that I've not spoke to anyone about. And then remember I was walking back up Hill Lane, because I said like to Lucy, like, I'll come back, I promise you I'll come back home. And then she started calling out all my sisters. My mum was at work, my nana drove, and my sisters met me in Hill Lane. And I remember my sister just got out of the car and she just punched me clean in the face. Just literally, she was like, "What? Like, why? Like, what have you done? Like, why could you not talk to me?" Like, my older sister, she was just going mad, like just screaming, shouting, like, "You would have killed us, like, we would have lost you, and for what?" Like, and I was like, I just remember just not even saying anything. And my nana was in tears, like, my little sister wasn't there, but one just below me, Mary, she was there, and she was just crying, like, just cuddling my nana. And I was just like, just kept saying like, "I need to get the letters, I need to get the letters, I need to get the letters." And my cat was, "What are you going on about? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, I wrote letters to everyone. I was like, I need to get them because they're in Jess's room. And I was like, Jess gonna come home and see all these letters to everyone. And I was like, so they took me back up there. Then the ambulance service was outside, like, because Lucy called 999 and was like, "We need an ambulance for like concern for welfare." Like, so they came out, and then I just remember like saying to paramedics, like, "Please, can you just let me go back upstairs?" And luckily they did let me go and get all these letters. And then when we're getting checked over by the paramedics, like, I was thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna go into like a mental health home or something like that." And I was like, I'm not mad, like, I just need help. Like, I remember thinking like, I don't know what's gonna happen to me. I work with children, I work in a nursery. I was like, my job's done, like, I'm not gonna be able to go back to work because I tried taking my own life. Like, am I gonna be fit and healthy enough to do these things again? And then yeah, I just remember after that going back to my nana's house. Jess got a phone call off Lucy to come down to my nana's as well. Mum was there. And all I was really worried about was these letters. Everyone was so worried about me. Like, and I just had this plastic bag that full of letters, and I was like, I need to burn them. Like, I need to get rid of them. I need to do something with them. Like, so I remember just like sitting in the garden, like, said to my nan, like, "I need a cigarette. Can you leave me alone?" And then I was just ripping every single letter up, like, as much as I could, like, just to try and get rid of like someone reading it. I didn't want them to read the pain of like what I wrote. And then I remember my mum coming in was like, "Where's these letters?" And I was like, "They're gone, like, it's fine." And I remember like she's going through the bin, like trying to piece all these letters together to like try and like kind of notice like what I'm going through, because she was like, "Talk to me." And I was like, I don't want to talk, like, I want to talk to anyone. And she was like piecing all these letters together just to try and get like an explanation of like how I was feeling. So yeah, that was like a mad experience, that. And then
Do you feel like that? So those sort of times, I want to sort of ask you these questions for other people who not who's gone through that, but some family members who have gone through that. Not to say that anyone done anything wrong in those times, but how do you feel as someone who's been through that we'll just talk about that time there, that little period. What do you think the best way to deal with someone is who has just tried to commit suicide?
Some question.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have, but like, how do you feel like? Yeah, how do you feel like?
I feel like you gotta kind of still respect their decisions, even if it is like, I'm not ready to talk to you. Like, they're still telling you like they're not ready. Like, they may be ready to talk to someone else, but they're not ready to tell you the pain that you're going through. Because I remember my mum like kind of like started grounding me, and I was like, I'm a full grown adult. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, she was like, you're not going out. Like, you're not going to just.
Well, like, 23.
Yeah.
23.
Like, you're not going to Jess's. Like, I need to be here to like make sure you're okay. Like, so if I was like, I'm going to Jess's, and I think she then started relating Jess's house to where I was going through all this plan of like trying to kill myself, and no one picked up on it. But I think even if I was at home, she still wouldn't have picked up on it. But because I was in someone else's house,
you're away from her.
Yeah.
She couldn't see what's going on.
Yeah, and that was like a massive thing that I was like, that I'm not a child. Like, and that's probably one thing that I would say is like, as hard as it is, like as much as you're angry and as much as you're sad, like you've still got to respect someone's decision that they're saying like, I'm not ready. Like, whether they're ready to then, like, I opened up to doctors, I opened up to psychiatrists, I opened up to counsellors, I opened up to so many people, but there's still stuff now that I haven't spoke about with my mum because I don't want to talk about it. So it's like, just respect that they're in a lot of pain, as much pain as you are, even worse, and you got to put your feelings aside and, right, it's time for me to look after them, like how they're feeling for once, instead of him worrying about everyone else or her.
Just be there.
Yeah.
Basically. Don't try and dig for answers or questions, just be there basically.
That they're not ready to answer yet. And then like, I remember it's like little things as well. Like, I knew questions were going to start being asked like by doctors, like about use of drugs at like a young age, like all these stuff that things are going to be asked. And I legally signed to like say that my mum can read my files, and that was like a massive thing. That my mum wasn't stupid. I was going out like at 18, like experimenting as a lad, like out with friends and stuff, but I didn't want her to know all of these things. And there was like, I legally signed it because I was like, you know what, like I want to give her a chance to like read like what I'm going through, and with like a counsellor, like said like openly, like if you feel like I'm ever getting back to that stage, I agree that you can then talk to my mum. But there was like those things I agreed to, but I still didn't want to discuss certain stuff. Like, she started asking me questions about blah, I don't want to talk about it. And you can dig as much as you want, but it's only going to push someone further away, because then they're going to get their back up. Like, just give me my space, like, please. And that'd be like one of my top, I say, a top tip of. No, that sounds wrong. It sounds wrong, but I don't know how to say
That's
it.
right.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah.
Top tip, love it.
Top tip for someone else, going through what I went through, to then be there to support them after, is like, because
just give them their space.
Because even like till now, like I have days where never like want to harm myself again, never want to ever get back to a stage where it's like days where I don't want to talk about things. I remember talking to you on the phone about stuff before we come here, and then that day, like, I was like so emotional. I was like, right, like, I just spoke about everything again, like, don't let my mind tick onto bad stuff, like, because I used to get flashbacks of me in the Itchen Bridge. Like, I used to get all these like flashbacks of my papa, and like, that was bad enough. And then after that, I started getting flashbacks of me in the Itchen Bridge, that you should have done it, like voices in my head, like saying like, you shouldn't be here. And then when I open up to people, there's still days where I'm like, right, switch on, like, don't let my mind like tick over. And if my mind does tick over, make sure I say to someone that like, I'm struggling today, like, just bear with me. Like, if I'm going up to Jess's, if I'm at home, I'm like, right, like, I've had a bad day, just give give me a break, like if I'm a bit aggy or something. And I still like have my counsellor's number, like can reach out to him if there's anything like gets to like a really bad stage. And that's what I'd say like a really good thing as well, is like there is loads of stuff out there that like maybe I would never got to the stage where I got to if I knew how much support there was out there for men and women for mental health. Like I literally had a counsellor that come round to my house because that's where I felt comfortable to talk in. And I said, like, can it be a bloke? Because that was my personal choice, that I wanted to like feel comfortable talking about certain stuff. And I would say to people, like, if you are feeling like you are like having a really, really bad day, even if you got through it all, like I didn't take my own life. Like I'm so happy I didn't do it, but there's still days where I'll have a flashback. There's still days where I think about my papa and I just want to cry all day. Like, just that's okay. Like, but just make sure you tell someone like that, like that's how I'm feeling today. So then you never get back to the position that I was in before, because I'd never want to end up back there. But I know if I let my mind tick over, that potentially it could happen. If I now didn't have the courage to say to someone, look, like I had a flashback today, like like something's not right with me, rah rah, and just having that discussion makes me feel a lot better that right, someone's going to be there now to support me. Whereas before, I never would let anyone support me. I just bottle it all up.
I think it's so important to talk, but I also think that just from my personal things that I've learnt in life, I think changing the way that you think about these things is also very important, because what you went through is not, and these thoughts that you have, they're not bad. It doesn't make you bad. There's nothing that's bad about it. It's completely, you had a natural reaction, just like your doctor said that one time. You had a natural reaction to the situation, and that was just the way that you dealt with it. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. I think the way that you change the way that you think about that is being like, all of this is what's happened, is all made me into the man that I am today. And you're an amazing bloke, like you really are, honestly. And that goes to your parents and your papa and everything. It really shows when you talk about him, that how the man that you are. So hats off to you for that. But the thing is with like thinking about is like, this has made me into the man who I am, and I'm grateful for it. And it's almost like changing it around, like of gratitude, of being grateful for that experience, because you wouldn't be here without that. And you learned so much about yourself, and you learned all these different things. So I think, I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but that's, for me, is something, it's changing that negative into a positive in your brain.
Yeah, and that's what I started doing with like the flashbacks that I was getting. Like when I was getting the flashbacks from the Itchen Bridge, so I remember like talking to like my counsellor. I remember seeing a psychiatrist and really struggled with it. It was like kind of like I was being hypnotized in a way, because like you're just in this like one room, like tiny room, you and this one person. But in a way, like it was mad, because I remember talking to her about like all these flashbacks and everything, and everything I was talking to her, I kept going back to my dad, and she was like, hang about, like, where have we got onto your dad from? Like, and it, because it related so much to my papa, that my papa was my dad, that I started like talking about like the pain I was going through, like missing my dad, like growing up. I remember like talking to a psychiatrist about that, and they were like, right, let's change things onto positives instead of like negatives. And that was like a like massive thing. Like they were like, well, when you get this flashback from the Itchen Bridge, like you defeated that, like you didn't do it. Like it's not like, even if it's I was getting like a voice like, you shouldn't be here, like it was in my brain, like just constantly like kind of like whispering to me. I remember getting it, and they were like, turn it into a positive instead of a negative, that you defeated that thing. As hard as it is sometimes, when I'm like just sat at home and I get this flashback and I'm like, what the fuck, like why is it coming back again? I'm not even thinking about it. And then but they're saying like you said, like turn it into a good thing instead of thinking, oh Jesus Christ, if you get back there again. But I'm in a good place, even if I do ever think about these flashbacks again, that I'm like, all right, like I defeated it, like I'm here.
That's amazing. What sort of things did you do afterwards which really helped with the recovery from that mental state?
Running was like playing football. I was quite an active guy anyway, and I stopped doing these things. Like after my papa, I was like, I just kind of lost energy really. Lost love for like doing stuff that I was enjoying. One thing, gaming, I had to like take a step away from. I love playing my Xbox. Like all my mates know, like Warzone, FIFA, etc. I spend hours on it, but I had to like take a step away from that for a bit because I knew it wasn't healthy. Like sitting on a computer screen, like now I can do it and I'm okay. But before, like I was like, this ain't healthy. Like I'm just sat here looking at one thing, concentrating on one thing, and I was going to bed and like then I start getting a flashbacks more, and I'm like, well, and you just sat on a computer screen for 8 hours. It's not helpful. So that's one thing I took a step back from. Then I was like running, playing football, even just general socializing. Started going out more with Jess, like doing like dates instead of like just sitting in, because when I was sitting in, like my mind would like just tick over, and I start like, especially like straight after, I was like, not that she was nagging, like it's probably the bad word for it, but like she'd be like, are you okay? Like, can I get you anything? Can I do this? And so then we started going out more and like enjoying more time, like away from just sitting on a sofa, etc. So that started things that I really started enjoying, was like people's company outside instead of inside, if that makes sense. So I felt like if I was at home, it was more of like everyone's looking at me, everyone's wondering if I'm okay, and maybe they even like, I knew they were, but you'd think like, even if I knew, how do I put this, that they weren't looking at me like, oh, you're alright, I'd be thinking that, oh, they're worrying about me. Like, yes. So, but if I was out and about doing stuff, then my mind's completely off things. But I think running or walking, playing like general sports, that was like a...
So the main thing is just keeping active.
Yeah.
It's literally just putting your body through some sort of stress.
Yeah, but not even that, like even just going out, like...
You change your environment.
Yeah, exactly.
You change what you're consuming. You're not just consuming games for 8 hours a day. Yeah. You're consuming a different environment. You're doing different activities.
Doing something which is positive.
Yeah.
Switching up what you're doing, if you feel like shit, is probably the quickest fix. Like for some people, they just don't do any exercise. They just eat shit food. They just play games all day, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I feel like shit." And,
and they wonder why they feel like shit.
Yeah.
Are you surprised, mate? Like,
yeah.
Why don't you feel?
Well, I was that.
I know. I was that as well. Smoking weed for 4 years straight. I didn't even understand what healthy food was. Like, I'd go in the supermarket and I had no idea what to buy, and it would like annoy me so much I'd walk out with no food and just go get a takeaway. And honestly, the amount of times I did that, I'm like embarrassed to say, because like it is dozens of, not just done that once or twice. Like I've walked into Lidl, spent 15 minutes filling up a basket, and then not knowing what to do with any of the ingredients, just putting the basket down and walking back out. Like, and I realised just in myself that one of the things that I did that I started doing was I would go and walk around the Common. Like, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's just a big park in Southampton, and I would just listen to a podcast and do that for like an hour to 2 hours every day, and that it like changed. Instead of waking up and going into this negative frame of mind, it gave me something else to concentrate on, so that what you call your mind ticking over didn't start.
Yeah.
Like something else started, and there was different thoughts in my head. So changing up your environment, like that's what you described that you did, that is like the number one thing, because like if you're in a space that triggers a certain way of thinking, or you're doing activities that trigger a certain way of thinking, you don't want that result, all you have to do is change the environment, and then like, you know, you naturally come away.
Bring back those memories as well.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the thing as well. I remember I hated going, well, not hate, strong word, I disliked going to my nana's and papa's house after my papa passed away. I remember sitting there thinking, like, I don't want to, I always sat in the garden because I don't want to sit in the lounge. That's where me and my papa chilled watching TV. Like, I remember I just couldn't be around like that environment. Like,
Sounds like you. Sorry, it sounds like you sort of wanted to run away from everything that kind of made you think about your granddad.
Yeah, 100%.
Your papa, sorry.
And yeah, that was like a thing of like getting away from that environment. I remember saying like to my nana, like, it's nothing. I remember got to a stage where I had to say to her, like, it's not you, I promise. Like, you can come round like and chill at mum's. Like, we'll have dinner there. And like now, like, I'll go over, have dinner there, and I feel much more comfortable. There's been times where I had to stay over there just to support my nana, or something's going on at home or whatever. And like, I was thinking, I can't sleep here. Like, when we just sat out for like hours, like, because there's like pictures of my papa or little things like Southwick wallpaper, and I'd be like, oh, geez, like, just all the memories that were there. But there's like, now I'm at a stage in my life where I can go around there, enjoy time with my nana, whether that be in dinner, like in the evenings, that we go around there quite a lot, spend time in the evenings. All these little things that I feel like now I'm ready to do. Previously, I wasn't ready to do that. So it's like you said, like when you say like giving people top tips to be able to like support them. It's like, it takes time. Like, it's not going to be okay overnight. Like, it's like it can take years for someone to grow back into the personality that they've been in. But people will get there. But you just got to be there to.
It takes time. It's not this thing that comes overnight. It's this long, steady process, and you've got to be ready for that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the same with anything, really. If you're going through any sort of shit time, or you're not very good at like keeping up with your food or whatever, there's something in your life. Just be prepared. If you're overweight, these things take time to get back on track, and don't think that it's all going to come at once. And it's not this, like we say, it's not this one thing of just straight up. It's this up and down. This you kind of come back into bad habits, then you come out of it, but it's this slow, steady sort of slow.
Over time, the trend is moving up, even though it's a wiggly line. So you basically took a different route to processing that trauma that you experienced around your granddad, and I think you've learned different ways of mechanisms to cope with it, that at the time of it happening you didn't initially go to. So you said at the beginning that what you do differently is you talk to someone. Do you think that now you have that person who you can talk to? You know, if something pops up, is that your instant response, or do you wait for it to get bad before you talk to someone? Would you go about that differently today than you would at the beginning?
I think now, if something bad happened, I still don't speak about it like right away. Like, I think about it like, is it actually that bad to like put burden on someone else? And I still do that till to this day. It's probably still not the right thing to do, but it's just the way I deal with life in general. So.
Yeah, but do you feel like it's the right thing to do? Like,
nah, I don't feel like it's the right thing to do. I feel like
what can you do about it? Because it's not like what's right for Johnny, what's right for me, what's right for you. Three completely different things. So like, if it doesn't feel right, like, what do you think you can do, or how would you go about that differently? Do you think?
When I got to the stage I got to, like how bad it was, I think if I look back at it now, I probably would have done things, 100% would have done things differently not to get to that stage. Whether I would have spoke about everything I was going through, I still don't think I would have. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just that maybe it's the person I am. I still don't think I would talk about things.
It's the experience you had to go through. Everyone has to go through these things in life.
But even like now, like you're saying, like if something bad happened again, I probably would open up, but not as much as I should. And I don't, like, that's just myself. Like I know it's wrong, and there's still things that I need to get better out. There's still things that I need to improve on, like talking to people. Like, but it is definitely, if I look back to the start of the experience of like losing my papa, 1000% would have at least started opening up a little bit to, even whether it to be to Jess or one of my cousins, like someone that was like away from it. Not like, obviously I know my cousins were like deep, like everyone was involved in it, but like someone that is not like in a direct line, like that's
someone who's removed from the situation. So for me personally, what I found that is quite helpful is to just journal, because with journaling, if you write, like now I keep a small notebook that I write down everything at the time that I think it. I don't try and categorize it. I don't try and say this is my to-do list. I don't try and do anything like that. And then at the end of the day, I look at that notebook and I say, okay, this is worth looking at. This is not worth looking at. This doesn't really fit into what my priorities are. And if you write things down as you think of them, it just means that you can come back and look at it later with a different frame of mind. So it's a helpful thing to, instead of putting it on someone else, you're putting it on your later or future self instead. So like you don't have that same kind of
urge to deal with it.
So you just write it down, and then later on you look at it again, and you can say, you know, I can see a pattern in this way of thinking here, and then you can, instead of getting someone else who's removed from the situation, you can objectively look at it from a different perspective, because you're not in that frame of mind at the time. So you can think about it in a completely different way. And just from my personal experience, I found that writing things down, and like I say, I write things down. I wrote a 60,000 word book, and then I just binned it. And then I wrote, and I think it was an 80,000 word book, and then just bin that as well. So like, it's like you don't ever have to show it to someone. You don't ever have to do anything with it. But getting it out from here onto a piece of paper is like, you're not holding the weight. And like you can come back and look at it in a completely different frame of mind. And just from my own experience of doing that, that was like probably saved me 2 years of talking to a fucking psychiatrist about it. Just sitting there typing it and then reading it back and just thinking, fucking, what were you thinking, like, mate? You know, I'm looking back at it. I look back at some of the things, what I just think about them because I deleted it. But I think I was so negative, I turned every possible thing into a negative. And like spotting that trend in yourself and even having it in a journal and saying, on this date, you know, 3 times a week I'm feeling like this at the end of the day. You know, what do I go about in terms of changing my environment, changing what content I'm consuming to produce a different result? And then if you look at yourself like that, I don't really need to talk to someone else to figure that stuff out about myself. I just write it down, and it's just kind of between me and myself. But having other people who are close to you, who kind of know what's going on, for me is not as helpful as writing it down. But it's like, for example, I've got Johnny in my ear going, I'm not eating bread, I'm not eating sugar, I'm training every day. And it's just like these little reminders that are like, okay, stay focused on, it reminds me to stay focused on what I want to be focused on. So like, for me, like, that's the 2 elements that I kind of go to keep myself from fucking going completely off the rails.
Yeah. I remember when I was getting the flashbacks, I started writing notes on my phone at like the time I was getting a flashback. And there's something that my counsellor asked me to do, just to see, like you said, like see if there was like patterns, to see like whether something's going on that day that's causing like it's happened. There wasn't, but I get what you're saying. Like you can pick up on stuff that, and then take away these things that would turn it into a negative. So say if there was a pattern, then I would have been like, right, okay, I'll remove that to then stop getting these flashbacks. But there wasn't one. But I get what you're saying as well, that you can pick up on these things that can.
So in that situation, the way I'd look at that is I'd say, okay, there's not a trigger, but how you respond to it is the thing that you can measure. So how did you respond to it each time? Like, you wrote a note, but you know, was there anything you did as a response to feel like, did you go down that path of feeling negative and saying, I've just had this horrible flashback happen? I get flashbacks of someone kicking in my fucking door and not being able to sleep right for a year. But now, if I hear a noise, like, it doesn't trigger me as much, but like I would start to feel like someone was kicking my door down with no noise.
Yeah.
So then I'd say to myself, okay, am I going to react in a way that I go and check every door, go outside, have a look around, or am I just going to say, okay, cool, yeah, fuck it, someone's coming in the door, they got me to deal with. Like it's
you're
how
feeding.
After, yeah.
This is one thing I've realized. You're feeding that negative thought when you do those things. I like to think of it as, it's like, do you believe in ghosts? Oh, you've heard something. Oh, is there a ghost there? And you just like, you go over in your head that the ghost doesn't exist. And when you just keep saying over and over, the ghost doesn't exist, there's nothing there, there is nothing there. Or, yeah, just like you said, oh, did I lock that door? Did I lock this? Did I lock that? You kind of remember locking it, but you're like, oh, no. It's like, do you go and lock that? So every time you go around, you've got to check every single time? Or do you just be like, look, I'm not feeding into this anxiety?
Yeah.
Because I've spoken to my sister about this. She's had anxiety and things like that. And it's like, don't feed into these things because it just makes it worse.
That's just another way of looking at it. I think because things aren't always triggered, like, you know.
Yeah.
Things happen out of the blue. Like one day you might just remember, you know, it happens to me. You just remember some traumatic thing, but it's about how do you respond to it.
Yeah.
If you're caught up in it, and you know, things can spiral out of control. But if you're looking at it in a more objective way, I think it comes down to like being mindful of knowing yourself and being self-aware enough to say, this is how I react to this kind of thing happening to me. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do this, you know, so that you don't let yourself spiral out of control. Like, because I could fucking go, I could drive myself mental thinking that someone was going to break into the house. You know, every time you leave the house, you think, shit, I need to get home in case someone is breaking into my house. But how you can take that as far as you want, like, you know, so it's like, how far do you take it?
Yeah, I get you. And then that could relate to like, when I set myself a challenge to run across the Itchen Bridge, when I started getting these flashbacks. And then that's what you're saying, like, set yourself something that when you get these things, like a positive thing to do after. And then I did to start like making notes. And then when we get to a stage where I was like, right, if I get this flashback, I'm going to run over the Itchen Bridge and I'm going to do it. Like, and then I've done it, and touch wood, since then I haven't had any flashbacks. Like I do, like, obviously have sometimes like a flashback of my papa and stuff, but I reckon that's just him like saying like, I'm here, like, but I haven't got back to that stage of being sat on the bridge. Like, I managed to get across that hurdle. So I remember going across the Itchen Bridge many of times, like in a car, and just sitting there and just just close my eyes and just not want to look, or like just to hold my hand, or just like don't want to talk to anyone, like didn't want to do anything. Then I set myself like an objective, like, right, I'm going to run across the Itchen Bridge, and I've done a half marathon after, like, that was including my half marathon. So I was like setting like positive objectives to turn like the negative things, like you were saying, like making a note of a negative thing, like what am I going to do with this, and then turning it into something that I've now completed and haven't had something since then. So I do get what you're saying with like making notes and then going off of that, like, how am I going to turn this into something good?
Yeah, that's, and another thing with, I think, for like stopping it from an early point, or not letting it get as bad as what it is, when you said, oh, when I'd walk past this way, I'd have to walk the other way.
Yeah.
Just do the same thing. Just fight it. Like, really combat it. Like, I'm not letting you take, like, because it's kind of like these two different things going on in your head. It's like you're fighting this other thing which isn't you, which you feel like isn't you. But you need to not let that, you need to fight that and be like, I'm not letting you overcome me. Like, I am in charge of me. I'm in charge of my brain. And nothing is going to happen if I walk this way. So I'm going to carry walking this way. I'll just use that as an analogy for anyone else who's going through something like that. When you sort of try to go a different route just because it feels a little bit nicer.
Just face it head on.
Face it head on.
Yeah. And then if it doesn't work, then like you said, like, I tried doing it this day, and then like this is what I'm gonna do after because it didn't work. Like, as in like you could face it head on, and you could come to like days where you just like think, oh, physically can't do this, but then like you're saying, like how to then get to that stage where it's gonna be positive. So if you do it and then you're feeling like absolute shit, like what could you do next time to like try and take your mind off it a little bit, but still facing it the same objective every day?
I think as well, if you think of what you said about not walking a certain way, like to avoid it, do it, but like do it on your terms. So it's a completely unrelated thing, but like my auntie used to, well, I think she still does. She goes to my mum's grave every week, putting new flowers on it every fucking week. Right? She's never really got over it, I don't think. And I'm not saying I'm over it, but like I'm not like going to the fucking graveyard every week and crying and this and that. Like, you know, I'm getting on with my life. The notes that my mum left me said that she'd want me to do. Okay, and she didn't want people to fucking go there and like, yeah, it's nice to keep the grave nice and whatever, but I like going there on my own now, and I only go like probably once every 2 years or something, but like, I did it. I didn't used to like going because she used to force us to go. She'd be like, right, we're going to the graveyard. I live with her, and every fucking birthday, Christmas, Easter, this, that, and the other, fucking Halloween, fucking Good Friday, blah, 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 like every bank holiday Monday, every fucking thing. It's a full moon, let's go down to the grave, right?
All the happy things where you're meant to be happy.
All the times when it's like, you know, and then it's like, no, we're going to go to the graveyard. And it's like, fuck's sake. But I used to like, I don't mind going there on my own.
That's what I do in my nan.
I like going there on my own. You know, so that I didn't like it the way that was kind of being made out to be. But like when I did it on my own terms, it's different. And like I got a different thing out of it, you know? So I think there is a way to do things on your own terms. I don't know if that's exactly like what you're saying about walking a certain way, but you know, it kind of is still going the same way, but I did it on my own version of it.
Yeah, because you've done it when you were ready.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
When she made you do it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
It's big.
That's a good one.
I think we've come to a nice end here.
Yeah, 100%.
And mate, I'm so fucking proud of you for coming on and doing this. Like, it takes so much to fucking do this, and it just shows how much work you've done in yourself and how far you've actually come. So I really fucking thank you for doing this, and yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me as well. Like, I've been trying to do different things, like going to like events and talking out about mental health with like men especially. So for anyone that listens, like just please reach out to people. Like if you're not ready to do it with someone that you're close to, try and do it with someone that you're not so close to. Just make sure you talk to someone and don't go through the pain alone, because there is a lot of support out there, and just try and be as happy as you can.
Thank you very much, brother.
Cheers.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Oh, thank you.
So